How do you transform an abandoned chapel into a sophisticated house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial wonders to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
The original wall has come away from the chapel
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
That isn't going to happen until next year, never mind 3 weeks' time.
It's absolutely barreling down.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
Today, a couple takes a massive leap of faith as they attempt the monumental challenge of transforming this colossal, crumbling church.
Initially, when we took it on, it was just falling apart.
Which has been neglected and empty for over 20 years.
If you'd have said to me 12 months ago, you'll live in a caravan in a graveyard, it'd be like, no, no way.
As we went up there, we discovered that that column was really just sat on soil, which to us was a bit scary.
They have ambitious plans.
If it pushes down onto these sliding doors at all, the sliding doors won't slide.
To rebuild and reconfigure this vast religious relic.
Yeah. Oops, I'm in.
Into a magnificent, one-of-a-kind family home.
That is just perfect.
In Denol, West Yorkshire, electrician Sean and scrapyard owner Debs have recently got married, and they've been looking for a large home where they can entertain their extended family, including 5 children and 5 grandchildren.
We decided we needed a family home that was going to be ours together, a new start.
We did think about buying a plot of land to build his own house. We just didn't want to be the same as everybody else. We just wanted something unique, didn't we?
We did.
They abandoned the idea of building a brand new home from scratch when they found this extraordinary historic building on the market.
We heard the church was up for sale, and when we took a look at it, well, Debs cried. We just fell in love with the architecture of the building, and once you come inside and see the inside as well, we didn't think of anything else other than this is the future.
The church went up for auction in September 2017, and Debs and Sean snapped it up for a mere £85,000.
It was obviously for our forever home to build something a little bit different, but also to return the building back to its former glory, because it was been empty for 20 years and in such a sad state that it was such a shame to see such a beautiful building just literally falling apart.
St Paul's Denholm was constructed in 1846 and is Grade 2 listed. The church is built from local gritstone and is considered a Gothic masterpiece, with gargoyles, buttresses, lancet windows, and a steeple that soars over 36 metres tall. The internal footprint is 450 square metres, and in its day could hold a congregation of 700 people. The church closed in 1997 when part of the ceiling collapsed. Luckily, no one was hurt. Its final service was held outside in the grounds 2 years later. 3,000 people have been laid to rest in the graveyard, which will remain open to the public so they can pay their respects. Some might say St Paul's resembles a mini cathedral. The outer walls and inner pillars were built on footings, and the internal stone floor laid directly onto the ground to house a 7-bay nave for the congregation with aisles either side. Through the arches are bays with extra seating for big events. At the front of the church is the chancel, which houses the altar and seating for the choir. There's a gallery at the back above the entrance, which is known as the narthex. Behind that is the imposing West Tower, that they hope to reconfigure into additional accommodation at a later date. Sean and Debs paid £85,000 for this incredible church. It might not sound a lot, but it's literally falling apart, so it could be a money pit. Debs and Sean are certainly brave, but they've got big plans to create a contemporary house within the 450 square metre footprint of this historical masterpiece, and they intend to salvage any original features and reuse them elsewhere in the build.
Well, initially, when we purchased the building, it was with planning permissions and plans, but they were very basic plans. So we approached an architect that had actually designed previous church buildings. And we had a set of ideas, didn't we, that we wanted. But the architects have been absolutely fantastic in encompassing everything we wanted, as well as some really groundbreaking design, and retaining all the architecture of the church without interfering with any of the nice windows or arches.
The outside will be repaired but not modified. They're planning to bring the building into the 21st century and make it eco-friendly by adding solar panels over the chancel. They will remove part of the crumbling roof to create a private courtyard and a main entrance to the building on the south side. Inside, they have ambitious plans. There will be an entrance lobby, and off to the left, a lounge that leads on to a study. Behind the lobby, there will be storage and a downstairs toilet. Then, to the right, the kitchen. That will lead onto a dining room, and beyond that, there will be another lounge. A floor will appear to float above the kitchen. On the new first floor, they plan to build 2 bedrooms and a bathroom. On the top floor, there will be a luxurious master suite, complete with walk-in wardrobe and bathroom. St Paul's is a magnificent building, and Sean and Debs are clearly determined to transform it into their dream home. They have set aside a maximum budget of £400,000. But the cost of converting such a cavernous structure into a home should not be underestimated. And while £400,000 might sound a really healthy budget, it could easily get eaten up if they find any structural issues at all. Sean's taken 2 years off work to rebuild this historic relic. To save money, he and Debs are living in a caravan in the graveyard. Before they can even begin to transform the church into a home, they must make the structure safe, and that means starting at the top with the main roof.
We've been on the roof, working on the roof now for about 4 months. We did the main roof first, because that was the one that was most precarious. This is the north aisle roof, and is by far the worst roof as in structural damage. So we've had to remove all the timber from this roof, all the trusses, all the purlins and rafters, replace all those, and now we're just currently reslating the roof with as much of the original slate as we can use.
The roof damage was so bad, it triggered part of the ceiling inside to collapse. And worse still, the weight of the collapsing roof caused the outer walls to spread.
The sheer weight of the slate and the ceiling pulling down the roof actually caused it to push the walls out by about 40 millimetres.
Any additional weight on the roof could have been catastrophic.
If we'd had a fall of snow, it would have pushed these walls out and it would have collapsed. There would have been no church left.
They used timber to brace either side of the cracks to stop the walls from splaying further.
We had to make sure that these walls were tied in.
They also tied together around 2,000 steel poles to form a giant scaffold to create additional support.
We've managed to get steelwork in to support the original roof trusses. The legs of the roof trusses, some of them had gone away with the rot, so we've managed to cut that out and replace them where necessary.
Just making this huge structure safe is a massive challenge, and the monumental task of transforming it into a home has yet to begin. It's 9 months since work on the rebuild began. The main roof of the church and ceiling is now structurally sound, so they remove the scaffolding from the inside. They've also installed solar panels for sustainable power.
It's a hybrid system, so we have a battery system. During the day, hopefully these will run the building no problem. Any excess generated electricity is stored in the batteries. And then obviously when the sun's gone in, we're not generating, we can use that battery power to run the rest of the building.
Bit by bit, Sean is making progress. Just over 4 miles away in Halifax, Debs is also hard at work at her scrap metal recycling plant.
I'm obviously working here, earning the coin, as they say. I'm earning the money to carry on forward with the renovation.
Debs and her team process 80,000 tonnes of waste metal every year at this vast 20,000 square foot site, which also conveniently has plenty of storage.
Because we're living in a caravan at the moment, the stuff for the house seems to be everywhere for the church. So up here, we've got our bed for the master bedroom and our ensuite. Upstairs is our pews from the church, which will be hopefully made into our kitchen dining table. This container here is full of our furniture from when we sold our other property to be able to manage and pay for the church. I can't wait to empty that because I actually can't remember what's in it.
At St Paul's, the team gears up to undertake structural repairs on the church's foundations. Back in 1846, only the outer walls and internal columns were built on foundations, so Sean must lay footings to support all new internal walls and floors. First, Sean must remove a number of huge stones from the south wall to create a big enough gap to squeeze a digger through. Once inside, workers must dig 2-metre trenches for the foundations. Then they must pour 30 cubic metres of concrete into the trenches. Once set, they'll build 3-metre tall walls to house the ground floor and prop up the upper floors. It takes a week to remove 20 tonnes of soil from the church.
This tide mark here is the actual original floor level. So you can see how much we've had to take out with the digger. And it also exposed the bottoms of the columns. We have a huge stone, then another huge stone, and that is supporting that column, and that's supporting part of the church.
The excavation also unearthed something rather worrying under one of the church's supporting columns.
You'd probably notice that some of these actually stood on stones, small stones stuck together with lime mortar. But as we went up there, we discovered that that column was really just sat on soil, which to us was a bit scary.
Soil is not a stable foundation. It doesn't bond and set like lime mortar and stones. The weak footing could give way at any moment and cause the building to collapse like a house of cards, leaving Sean and Debs' dreams in tatters. Giving themselves 2 years to complete this ambitious project, Sean and Debs are living in a caravan on site until they can move in.
If you just said to me 12 months ago, you'll live in a caravan in a graveyard, it'd be like, no, no way. But no, it doesn't faze me, it doesn't bother me, it's just easier because we're on site. You know, we're not going to be here forever, so as soon as it's habitable, we'll be in the church.
But there's a lot more to do before they can even think about moving in, especially as they've unearthed a problem with the foundations under one of the columns, which Sean needs to fix before the build can continue.
It's a voyage of discovery for us. Nobody knew what was underneath here. The last people to see what was under here were the people that actually dug the original footings for the church.
That was nearly 180 years ago. To solve this problem, Sean has dug a trench around the pillar for even more concrete.
We put about 2 cubic metres of concrete, just poured it into to stabilise all of this area. And then we continued to work digging out the rest of the church.
Laying the new foundations and walls takes great precision and skill. The new floor joist will sit on top of these walls and the floor needs to run level throughout.
685. Just 7. That's all right. Good. We've got to run straight across there, haven't we, to that one?
Some of the walls will rise up above the joist to create the new rooms.
The more work we do, obviously, it's evolving and everything's changing because it starts to show that it's becoming a home and not just a big open church.
Reconfiguring vast historic structures like this church into something homely is a huge challenge on many fronts, but it does provide an opportunity to create a one-of-a-kind living space. In Kent, this equally cavernous 1930s water purification plant was transformed into a glamorous home 4 years ago by Jeff Lowe and his wife Monica.
It's obviously an Art Deco style building, but equally it has a kind of look of a contemporary sort of architect design,
Modern.
Californian
Californian
building. Everybody in the area knows it and it's a bit of a sort of landmark.
It might look sleek and minimal outside, but inside they've created a living space crammed with extraordinary features and detail.
This part of the house was the first part that we did. When we bought it, it was very, very cold, very bleak, water coming through the
there was rain, water
roof.
coming in through the roof.
This is the original cast iron staircase that would have been part of the original building, going right up the top. I think the staircase is important because it's so much part of the original building and it just feels so right where it is. This room we use as a living room, sometimes dining room. It's got this enormous shape in the middle of the room, which could be considered to be quite difficult to work with. But actually, we quite like it because it means that the room can be configured in different sorts of areas.
Yeah. It's very creative, and it has a nice flow when you're walking around.
Being able to see through from all of these windows. It's got this incredible sense of light. It's a really cozy room. I think the outside of the building feels a little bit like a castle. It has this sort of impregnable presence, and I think people are very happy that something has happened because it was derelict for so long.
At St Paul's, it's taken Sean and the team 2 months to lay the ground floor timber joists, build the walls to support the first floor, and install the support beams for the top floor. And they're now 11 months into their 2-year build.
We're getting to the point where all these walls going up, we're outlining each room. We get to now see the layout, which Debs will be over the moon about, I'm sure.
The plan is to build 2 more floors above the kitchen, whilst leaving the dining area open to the vast high ceiling of the church. To do this, they need precision engineering to build what looks like a floating floor.
Can we run straight across there to bring that in narrower?
The key support will be a load-bearing 3-metre steel post. They'll need to secure this to the ground floor with steel bolts that are set with resin. One end of each of the 2 steel beams will sit on top of the post. The other ends will rest on the new internal walls built to house the kitchen. They will lay new joists between the beams to form the floor above, then build walls along the beams to create the bedrooms. If the beam fails, the floors will collapse, so it's vital that they get this crucial part of the build right.
You ready?
The supporting steel column has been made off-site to exact measurements. Sean works with engineer Gordon Whittaker and builder Matt Flesher to install the column.
Back to you a bit more, actually. And that's snug to the sides. Right.
Well, that's dead plumb. The important thing is to get this in the right place, because everything is obviously attached to this, so it has to be absolutely bang level, in the right place in relation to the rest of the build.
They use steel bolts and resin to anchor the column to the concrete base.
Wait for that to cure.
That is spot on. Perfect.
Once the timber floor joists arrive, they can start building the upper 2 floors. But they are a year into their 2-year schedule, and St Paul's is still a long way off from becoming a home. Transforming this Gothic church into a sumptuous 3-bedroom family home is a massive challenge. The footprint inside is a whopping 450 square metres. It's so vast, they've decided to phase the work and complete some of it at a later date. Sean and Deb's calm approach to this build is impressive. It's easy to become overwhelmed by a project of this scale. Sean's next challenge is to remove the roof of the south aisle to create a private, open courtyard.
Once this is removed, it's not being replaced, but that's the final stage of the roof work, which is just to remove that and then leave it off.
It's now winter. Pummeling rain, snow and freezing temperatures make the already challenging outdoor construction work even tougher. It's a dirty and relentless battle to remove the roof over the south aisle. By removing the roof, Debs and Sean will create an impressive Venetian-style open courtyard that will give them the private outdoor space this home deserves. They're also removing part of the wall on the south side to create a new main entrance. It's now 18 months into the build. With the roof of the south aisle removed and the walls opened up, this grand old church is ready for some 21st century design, with sleek, thermally innovative windows. There are 57 in total, and some are huge. They cost nearly £95,000, and they're being built off-site at this specialist workshop by Andrew Stedman's team.
It is quite a big job. Just with it being such an old building, we've got to fit all the windows to measure them all the right sizes, and some of the walls aren't quite straight. Things can go wrong.
Andrew's team uses specialist software to program the machines which cut the glass and framework.
Once it's been programmed upstairs, it gets sent down to the saw, and then hopefully it should cut it all off to the right size. It's quite a fancy machine, and it does all the slots and saves a lot of time for us on the shop floor. Before we used to do these by hand, but now the new machinery makes it so much easier.
They slot the sections of frame together, ready for the glass.
We put all the joint, the sealants on and everything, and then we make it into a frame, which will get sent up to Denham, and then we'll fit the windows up there, and then put the glass in them.
At St Paul's, snow and rain bear down on Sean and Debs. The new windows couldn't arrive at a better time.
Right, I'll leave you to it.
Cheers.
No problem. Usually we've done everything ourselves here, but this is a specialist job. It's more cost-effective to let these guys do it, and for a change, sit back and watch somebody else do it.
Spin it right round. Whee! Come top in first. Yeah. All right, that's it.
Oh, it's going to be fun, this.
The windows are double glazed and designed to help with thermal efficiency.
1, 2, 3.
Keeping the heating costs of this huge home as low as possible.
These panes of glass, I'm being told, about 230 kilograms each. So that's a big lift, is that. The steelwork's all in place that should take that weight. Fingers crossed. It's the deflection more than anything. The deflection on the middle of the steel, if it pushes down onto these sliding doors at all, the sliding doors won't slide. There's just very little tolerance. Christmas this year will be here. We will be having Christmas dinner there. Fingers crossed now.
It takes 2 full days and precise positioning to fit the windows.
That's it, that's as far as you can go.
Got it in. Looking good. Feeling very optimistic now.
Like it?
Love it.
Yeah? It's well done,
Yeah. I'm going to miss that draft.
Because now we're just getting...
When the snow was blowing through.
Who's going to clean them?
Well, we've got a long pole for that. It's looking good. It's more impressive than I thought it was going to be.
I'll bring it in slowly.
Moment of truth now. What do you want, a hammer? Doesn't seem to go together, does it? A hammer and glass.
Stop going in, Ross.
Whoa.
It's in.
It fits. Relief.
Tight. Tight like a vice.
That now is a big relief. That's a big part of the build. There's 57 windows, all different shapes and sizes to fit. They've done very, very well. That could have gone so wrong. It's the biggest piece of glass we have in the building. And it's days like this when you think it's really all worth all this blood, sweat and tears. It's a lovely day today. Sun shining, a bit nippy, but it'll be a bit warmer now we've got windows in. I think I'll celebrate tonight now.
Sean and Debs are now 22 months into their 2-year build, and the church is finally starting to resemble a home. They're paving the courtyard and laying slabs around the entrance.
The guys have done an absolutely sterling job of using all the stone that was originally part of the floor of the church. So it's great, as we use these stones, we find little markings, we find little holes, and it's great to look back on the history of the church and know that every time we come in this courtyard, part of the original church is here outside in the courtyard.
We're trying to save as much of the flag as we can. These are the real deal. They're probably one of the most expensive types of paving you can get today, and they are very sought after. They're obviously York stone, sandstone. If you go to a stone yard, you can be £100 a metre plus VAT. Just at a rough guess, well, you'd be 10 to 15 grand worth of stone. The flags are dearer than labour, which is unusual. We're proud to be part of laying them and bringing them back to life. That's how it's done. The jobs are good and another one down.
The outside is almost complete. Debs has a rare day off work to help Sean fit the railings to the balcony inside.
We're coming to the part of the build now where we're sort of getting to the end of it, the finishing touches. We're really looking forward to this part. All the massive jobs have been done. These jobs are hopefully more rewarding. It's quite exciting because I'm working with Debs, doing a bit of hands-on work.
I'm the boss lady, as they call me at work.
They do, don't they?
Don't they?
Would you hold that, please, for my darling wife?
Oh, yes, sir. Turn.
Now, back to you. We more or less mimicked the railings outside by doing this balustrade. Looking across there, it almost matches the gallery. We're very happy, aren't we, with it?
Yep.
Very happy.
You okay there?
Yeah.
Oops. I'm in.
You in?
Yep.
They've battled brittle brickwork and brutal weather across the whole 2 years to transform this fragile building. Now they're nearing the end game when they can leave their caravan behind to finally move in.
That is just perfect.
The relentless yet rewarding task of saving this Gothic masterpiece has finally come to an end. It's hard to imagine this historic church was about to collapse into the ground when Sean and Debs took it on. They've not only saved the structure, but built a brand new home inside, and the end result is tremendous. The whole roof has been repaired, all the lead work has been redone, and all the windows have been replaced. Not just along the main body of the church, but right up into the top of the tower. Now that's attention to detail, because you could have quite easily left those rooms. It just makes you realise the epic scale of this undertaking. The open courtyard gives this grand building the private outside space it truly deserves, and also a sneak peek of what's to come inside. The design idea of keeping one of the aisles completely open and then slotting the house inside really works. You get the sense of the modern house inside the main body of the church, but it also reveals the skeleton of the old building. Sean has relayed beautiful York stone paving from inside the church, planted a small garden and made a water feature. This picks up on the idea of the garden as a little bit of paradise on earth. And it's just as impressive as soon as you walk in. The ground floor is so vast, they have 2 sitting rooms. One is to the west of the lobby. It's so big, Sean's motorbikes look like an art installation.
It is a temporary bike garage, unfortunately, but I think they look nice, they're very nice. We've restored the gallery back to its former glory.
It's just the chilled out area, isn't it?
Yeah, and it's great to draw the doors back. We've got the courtyard there with the running water.
The living space they use the most is on the other side of the entrance, starting in the kitchen.
So this is our wonderful kitchen. I'll let Debs tell you about her wonderful space.
It's just a really, really nice space, and
yes.
it's, you know, the size of it. I didn't think I'd ever have a kitchen this big.
We tried to make the biggest kitchen we could so that everybody could be in here and nobody was left out.
They've carefully selected modern fittings that complement the grand original features which date back to 1846, and the result is truly breathtaking.
And the fireplace being the focal point of the room, and in winter it's lovely. Even though it's such a big area with the fire, everybody seems to huddle around. It's lovely and cosy.
Opening up the walls to create space for the enormous windows lets the light flood in. And they're double glazed with aluminium frames, a state-of-the-art design for optimal thermal efficiency, keeping the cold out and the warmth in, transforming the once drafty church into a warm, inviting home.
We had family here for Christmas. We had Christmas dinner here, and it was lovely.
And they've worked hard to reclaim and repurpose original features.
The pews from in here.
And the table actually is part of the floor that we took up that was on the old stone flags. It must have been, for instance, for the choir to stand on so they didn't get cold feet. The table was the only bit of timber we could save from the floor. Every other bit of timber we took up.
That's an ingenious way of salvaging some of the original materials. Beyond the dining area is the second lounge, which is in the chancel, so takes advantage of the high and ornate ceilings.
The whole brief to the architect was to keep the architecture of the church there. So whatever we built inside the church, we could still see wherever we were in the building, it was a church. And this is probably the best vantage point to see that. If you're standing here, you look around, it's all church. As you look through up to where the new part of the building is, you can still see all of the church. This is going to be what we would call really a Sunday best dining room. I think we had our wedding anniversary meal here.
The day those big 3 windows went in, I got a tear in my eye. It was just a lovely day, and it's just, you know, the light what came through the windows. It's just lovely.
There are moments where you just say we're so lucky to have this.
Absolutely.
I know we've made this vision happen, but when we look at it, we're so privileged to have a building like this to work with. We don't know of another building in this style that this has been done to. We didn't expect it to be as nice as this.
The shell of the church was so big, Sean and Debs were able to build a sleek, modern 3-storey house within it. On the first floor, there are 2 bedrooms and a bathroom.
This is the first floor landing with the first set of bedrooms on. We've got what we call the boys' bedroom, and then we have the girls' bedroom.
Sean wanted to leave this as it is, which he obviously has got his own way. I prefer the finished look.
I still love the look of the stone, the finish. All it needs is a bit of a clean-up and sealing, and I think, yeah, it's a reminder of how the building was.
The cantilevered landing opens up to the amazing view of the main body of the church and the chancel. Then up another flight of stairs at the very top is their master bedroom.
Debs loves this room.
I do like this room. The space, just the windows. We don't have no curtains, and it's just lovely. It's lovely waking up in the morning.
At 3:30 when the sun gets up.
Yeah, that's the one. But it's just lovely. We love it.
And no luxury master suite would be complete without a luxurious ensuite bathroom.
This was the very first room we completed. This gives a little bit of heaven from being in a caravan. We could escape here, wrapped in a towel, up a ladder, into here to have a lovely warm shower. But we love this room. It's a lovely, peaceful bathroom. We can, you know, lie in the bath, look out the window, across the valley there. It's just a wonderful place. Because we tried to get things at a good price, and Debs being the person she is for bartering, she managed to pick up this bathroom suite a little bit early, by about 9 months. So yeah, it was stacked up.
So it liked it and bought it, that's it. And
yeah.
It was, yeah, so that worked.
Part of the brief was when we said we wanted to build a house in the church. We wanted breathtaking views. Waking up in the morning, just stepping out here, it's absolutely amazing. It's one of the breathtaking parts of the build. We are so high up. Look down there and go, yeah, it's worth it. And then trot off down 4 flights of stairs to make a cup of coffee to come back up 4 flights of stairs. Everybody that comes up this far and has a look down thinks, wow, this is a view you just wouldn't have anywhere else.
Sean and Debs have created a truly one-of-a-kind home. All the main building work is finished, and they should be extremely proud of what they've achieved, given they've restored a huge historic building and built a house within it in just 2 years.
Relieved.
Well, not so much relieved that it's finished, excited to enjoy it now as a house and a home. For so long it was a building site, we were in a caravan, but now we're beginning to enjoy it. Starting off as just an electrical engineer with a project like this was a bit daunting, but I've learnt so much. We've only worked with a handful of people over the last 2 years, But certainly I'm very confident now in just about every aspect of building work. We've had a hand in every part of the build. For us, that's a massive sense of achievement and reward.
And it's incredible to think they've done it all on schedule and on budget.
I think we budgeted 350 to 400, no more than 400. And we've been good. We've been really careful with what we've bought. We're still under budget. I know we've not quite finished yet, but we're happy with what we've spent.
We bought enough flooring in one go to do the whole project, even though we only had one floor to do. But it meant we saved thousands of pounds in flooring. And I think that's the way the whole ethos of the build was. But we offset me not earning the cost of me project managing and doing the hands-on work. And it's definitely been the better move than employing other people to do the work.
Oh, absolutely, absolutely.
As it's such a massive building with so many areas, it's unsurprising Sean and Debs each have their own favourite space.
Oh, favourite spaces? Oh, Debs.
Mine. This kitchen. It's the hub of the house, isn't it?
Yeah,
of our home.
It is very much.
And then I also like our bedroom, which is, it's just lovely, isn't it? It's just quiet.
A little sanctuary out of the way of everything.
I know what yours is.
I love the courtyard.
It's amazing.
It just takes you to a different place completely. You walk.
A bit of Venice.
Yeah, it's a bit of Italy, a bit of Venice, it's really continental. It's relaxing, the water feature with the water running. If you sit in the lounge and open the doors, we can, enjoy the tranquility of the water. Or if it's a lovely day because it's south-facing. We wanted to preserve this architecture because this is what we fell in love with. So we knew the decision was made not to make this massive house out of this big building, but to make a reasonable size house inside the church. We tried to keep a bit of the church in every single room. Would we do this again?
Yeah, of course I would.
Definitely.
Yeah.
Can we just choose somewhere with less wind and rain?
Chapel in Cyprus.
Spot on.
How do you transform a cavernous cold church into a futuristic house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial workshops to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
The original wall has come away from the chapel.
As they take on seemingly impossible challenges.
That can't happen until next year, never mind 3 weeks' time.
Absolutely barreling down.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
In this episode, a determined homeowner.
Before, you wondered whether it was going to happen. Looking forward to it now.
And an anxious builder.
That's where I'm scared. That's where I'm nervous.
Battle challenging spaces.
This project's all about being round. Thinking outside the box, but inside the circle.
Got it, so it should, in theory, all fit. We see.
And brittle brickwork.
We're scared in case it all collapses.
To transform this historic farm building.
It's all about the history, retaining knowledge and a bit of respect.
Into the ultimate dream home.
I always said I'd like a new house. I've got it, didn't I?
Kent, The mild climate and fertile landscape here have helped generations of farmers cultivate thriving crops. One of Kent's most famous harvests is hops, used to make beer. During the 19th century, more than 70,000 acres of farmland here were used to grow hops, with local brewers producing up to 800 million gallons of beer a year. Once harvested, the hops were dried and processed in special agricultural buildings called oasthouses. Thousands of these structures are dotted across the Kent countryside, with their distinctive white-pointed cowls standing out against the lush green landscape. Modern beer production techniques have rendered these old buildings obsolete, but today many are being transformed to enjoy a new lease of life. These agricultural industrial structures are slowly being turned into homes. It sounds idyllic, but their conversions come with some very real challenges. 79-year-old Hazel Harwood has been living on this farmstead in Kent since 1962. Hazel, along with husband Cedric, had 3 children here and ran the cattle farm for 55 years.
We had dairy cattle, then we gave them up and had beef cattle. My husband used to do the milking, and I used to go out bottling the milk up there, night and morning.
When Cedric passed away in 2015, Hazel and her beloved dog Lucy were the only ones left living in their 4-bedroom family farmhouse.
Oh, tickle, 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 tickle. She has to have her tummy rubbed every morning when I come down.
Today, the farmhouse is proving too big for just the 2 of them. Hazel has made the brave decision to sell it and move into a smaller house. But she's not moving too far because she has bold plans to transform the farm's historic oast house, just 50 steps away, into her new dream home.
My younger son said, why don't you convert that oast and sell this?
The oast house has been a part of the farm since 1872. It was originally built to dry hops. The roundels had kilns burning at their base, a floor in the middle where the hops were placed to dry, and a conical roof with a pointed cowl on top to create a good draw for the fire below. Once dry, the hops moved to the cooling barn and then down to the ground floor to be packaged for shipment to the brewery. In a good season, one roundel could process over 15 tons of hops. Hazel's oast house was never designed to be lived in and has been neglected for years. Turning it into a home won't be easy. With a budget of £270,000, Hazel is working with family friend Glyn Charlton to help her project manage this enormous challenge.
Hazel relies on me to make sure that it's all going favourably, and I think she just likes a bit of moral support.
Ready?
Talking to the builder when we were discussing the job, he said this lady knows what she wants and she wants what she knows. She wants to go and live somewhere comfortable for the rest of her life, and she's making the decisions here all the way through.
Hazel has been using the oast house as a garage and storage for farm equipment. Its traditional cone-shaped roof had to be removed 50 years ago.
It'd be nice, because my husband, he took them oaths off years and years ago because they was a bit dangerous.
I think it's going to take about 6 to 8 months to build it from the start.
Yes.
Hazel's vision is to radically transform the oast house. She wants to gut the cooling barn to create a raised ground floor kitchen, dining, living area. Above it, she'll put another floor to house a bedroom and office. The west roundel will have a staircase to the upper floor, while the east roundel will become a lounge with a spare bedroom above. And finally, Hazel wants to put the coned roofs and cowls back onto the roundels to restore the original shape of the building. Work begins in the winter by wrapping the dilapidated oast house in scaffolding and protective plastic sheeting.
Out to here to the bathroom, 2.8.
In charge of turning Hazel's dream into a reality is Director of Construction, Stu Benjamin.
None of this is structural here, is it?
Peckham-born builder Stu sees this as the job of a lifetime.
It's been my goal forever, turning something that's over 100 years back to its original state, and to get the opportunity to do it is fantastic. Look where we are. Can't get much better than this. Here's going to be a utility room. We've got to put square cabinets, square washing machine into a roundel, which is really fantastic. We love these challenges.
Stu's first real challenge is to stabilise this dilapidated building. This won't be easy. First, Stu must raise new concrete block walls inside the barn, and then assemble an internal skeleton of steel and structural timber that connect to the old wood frame. In the roundels, they must install 2 steel beams to support a floor. Timber joists will run from these into pockets in the original wall. They must do the same for the second floor. The wood and steel skeletons will tie the new and old structures together and prevent the oast house from collapsing.
We're literally building a building within inside a building. These here are the existing structure, so they're holding the 2 outer frames together. We can't take these off right until the end, because what will happen is we're scared in case it all collapses. So all this wall, which is original, is tied with that wall. If I do that, you can see that it's giving us a little bit of stability, hence why we're a bit concerned about taking these off. But we're leaving that right in. That's where I'm scared. That's where I'm nervous.
The 147-year-old brickwork is crumbling like cheese. It makes Stu's challenge of building a new house inside the old structure even tougher.
We've cut out for the new doorway. If you can see, that brick's completely blown, so that brick will have to come out. But as we build the brickwork up, we'll take that out and redo it, just to give us our structure and our strength. And this is where our staircase comes. You'll walk around here, and then you'll walk up and walk up to the next floor.
The winter weather makes the task of shoring up the exterior brickwork even more difficult.
The bricklayers are pulled off today because it started raining all day. British weather, love it, because we're all waiting for the roof to go on, because it means everyone's inside. We ain't got to worry about the weather. Please, weather, love me.
It will be an epic battle for Stu and the team to transform this challenging structure. It's taken 3 months to stabilise the old structure's crumbling walls and seal the building from the elements. At the start of this project, the building hardly resembled an oast house at all. But after months of hard work, it's time to start rebuilding, resurrecting that most iconic part of any oast house, the roof. Around the edge of the roundel brickwork, Stuart's team must first cast a bed of sand and cement. On top of that, they'll put a wooden ring called a wall plate. To this, they attach 4 wooden rafters, which they connect with cross braces, and a wooden ring on top to give them strength. Then they add more rafters to make a cone-like shape and tie them together with wooden braces before covering the cones with felt and roof tiles. It rests on the shoulders of Darren Hole to erect the Titanic roof.
So your insulation will come to there, and it will come out because you've got an inch here.
Right.
Darren runs a highly specialised 80-year-old family business that's dedicated to rebuilding and restoring the intricate roofs of oast houses.
We try and keep it as original as possible, and that's pretty much the same as it was 100 years ago.
It's crucial that the wall plate sits perfectly level, so that the tall cone-shaped roof doesn't lean. But the old brickwork makes this a challenge.
If this plate wasn't level, it would show massively on the top. All the rafters that we pre-cut, they wouldn't fit. It looks simple, and we think it's simple, but I suppose it isn't. We make it look easy, but it's just because we've done it so many times before, it just works.
There, yeah? Yeah, right there.
Stu's keen to pick up the pace and complete the roof before spring showers arrive.
By the end of the next week, I'm hoping the host will be watertight and this roof will be watertight. If we achieve that, I'm happy. If we don't, they're sacked.
Today, there are only 2 traditional oast houses still working in Kent, and the hop season's harvesting is in full swing. The oasts here at Little Scotney Farm were built in 1871 and produce Scotney ale. Their inner workings offer a unique insight into how Hazel's distinctive shaped roof would have been used when the building was originally operational. Once the hops have been stripped from their vines, the team here begins the drying process. A working roundel is where the hops are brought to dry. Each roundel can dry almost half a ton of hops at one time. Hot rising air dries the hops as it's drawn up through the cowl on the top. Once the hops are dry enough, they're dragged out into the cooling barn. The hops are now dry and crispy, ready to be added to beer, giving it the unique, traditional, hoppy flavour. In a good season, this 30-acre farm can produce over 60 tonnes of hops. In 1878, hop farming reached its peak. 77,000 acres of the land in Kent was used to farm this crop. That's almost 154,000 tonnes of hops. This is the process that would have gone on in Hazel's oast house for 100 years. Hazel's 75-acre farm played a small part in this great British hop boom. It's taken 2 weeks of back-breaking work for Stu and Darren to erect the entire timber roof structure on Hazel's oast house.
Since Christmas, it's got on a lot. It's better now. Now you can see what's going on. Before, you wondered whether it was going to happen. Looking forward to it now.
The next challenge is to seal the roof. To cover both roundels and the barn, the team are using traditional handmade Kent peg tiles.
The guys are using a Tudor tile. They're called a Tudor mix. We wanted to make sure that the oast and the barn was all as one. As you can see, all the felt's on, they're battening out. They've been here for 1 day, and this is the progress they're making. What it means is we can start taking off the lid. We're in the dry.
Fitting the rectangular tiles onto the cone-shaped roof isn't easy.
With the tiles, we use squares and tapers, so that way when it comes round, if the tile starts going downhill like that, the tape will swing it back round. And then every fifth row we'll sand and cement each tile, so that holds them all tight, so it won't come off when it's a windy day.
Tiling the exterior of the conical roof takes great skill and craftsmanship. The task of transforming the interior of this unusually shaped space into a practical living area calls for an equal amount of expertise and imagination. Today, oast houses are among many complex-shaped, historic structures that are being turned into extraordinary abodes. In 1820, there were up to 10,000 windmills dotted across the UK. Today, only 400 remain. Some have been given a new lease of life by being transformed into homes. In the Suffolk countryside, the circular form of this 19th century windmill proved a huge challenge for its owners, Natalie and Steve Roberts, to reconfigure into practical living space.
Probably the main headache really was the fact that the building was round and just everything had to be made bespoke to fit the fact that the building is round.
There's pretty much nothing in here that's bought off the shelf, and if it is, we've had to adapt it to fit to the space.
Natalie and Steve created a practical living space here by building bespoke furniture, curved worktops, and bedroom headboards that hug the round walls. A curved staircase fits the contours of the interior and leads up to a striking zinc-clad timber pod.
The inside almost looks like the hull of a boat, and I believe in the past people who used to make the actual domes to the windmills actually used to be boat builders. The living space at the top is actually a surprisingly large space. It's very tall, a very, very cosy space.
Innovative design and materials have helped breathe new life into this iconic piece of industrial heritage.
Hopefully, when we're not here in another 100 years, it will still be here, albeit in a different guise from what it was like when it was originally built.
In Kent, it's taken 4 weeks for Stu and Darren to complete the roof on Hazel's Oast House. But a last-minute request, a new window, means they have to undo some of their handiwork.
If I'm being honest, I'd rather they said that now. Last thing I wanted to do was plasterboard all this, plaster it, and then have to do it. That's what happens, that's building.
Yeah, what's that say?
Oh,
what about
conservation windows are a little bit smaller, but I didn't think we'd get it in there. If I'm brutally honest, I didn't think you'd get that size window in there. But yeah, job done.
Yeah, that's in.
Inside, Stu has devised an intricate plan to leave a smooth finish on the inside of the circular roundels.
We've put a 9mm plasterboard to get us off going, and then we put a 6mm plasterboard. That's more flexible and you get the bend, just to keep it all round so it keeps that symmetrical circle as much as possible. The heads as well, by the doors and around the windows, are really difficult because the windows are square and you're putting them into a round, so we've had to taper our plasterboard into the reveals.
The cone-shaped rooms upstairs are proving a bigger headache.
We cannot put a full sheet of plasterboard on here and hope that we get that round. So every bit of plasterboard will be cut to the middle of each joist, coming all the way down. I am so worried about this. This is like a horrendous job.
While Stuart worries about the inside of the cone, the outside also needs work. It will soon need topping out with its defining feature, its white pointed cowls. From the 1700s right through to the 1900s, thousands of Oast houses were built across Great Britain. There was a whole industry dedicated to their construction and maintenance. And if you search hard enough, you can still find remnants of that vibrant artisan community.
The first invoice of our company was 1937. Every single one is finished by hand and built by hand.
The original job of a cowl was to keep out the rain and draw up hot air from the kilns to dry the hops. Each cowl rests on a long wooden pole, which lets it rotate through 360 degrees. Its clever angled shape means that when the wind blows, the cowl always has its back to the breeze to make sure an Oast house can work in all weather. Its simple yet effective design works well to this day, just the way Darren likes it.
Every single one of these, they're a different size, but they're all bespoke. Everything is different. First thing, it's got to weather, and then secondly, it's got to do the job, you know, and it's got to look right. There is a bit of artist license in it, a little bit in there. We're just setting out the basis of the cowl, which is the bottom curve.
Darren prides himself on making every cowl in the traditional way.
We could move it on, we could mill things out with a router, but do you know what? Why?
Darren builds and restores around 200 cowls every year. Each historic cowl has its own tale to tell.
Sometimes we get these in, and it might be 50 years old. We know it's 50 years old, because when we start to sand the paint off, you notice there's a green layer. So back in World War II, the Luftwaffe were using the white spots as they were flying over as reference points to plot their way to drop the bombs. And that's why they painted them out green up there, so they couldn't use them as a plotting point. And so it's history. I try and save as much of the original as we can.
Darren's family kept cowls turning throughout the Battle of Britain. In this workshop, even the toolbox is an ancient artefact.
This is why I've got so much respect for the ancestors. And I've got a saw like that, which is a sliding miter saw, but everything that we can do, they would do with these. This would have been used by somebody in my family 100 years ago. So imagine I'm pulling out a tape here that one of my ancestors would have looked and he would have gone, right, I'm going to measure that cross-string, I'm going to measure the top of that keel. And this is the tape that he would have used. It's just like, oh, it does my head in. I love it. It's all about the history, and it's all about retaining knowledge and a bit of respect.
The business is now 4 generations strong, with Darren's 24-year-old son, Brandon, next in line to pass the knowledge on.
Brandon's the 4th generation. I'm the 3rd. Then there's Dave, Spider, as we call him. He taught me. And then his father-in-law taught him, Arthur. There's a god. Yeah, it's pretty cool, mate. Pretty good. I love my job.
While Darren and Brandon prepare the cowls for Hazel's Oast House, Stu and his team are gearing up to plaster its challenging mix of square and round rooms.
Everything's got to be square, bud. Yeah, everything.
They make quick progress in the barn, but the roundels prove a struggle. The curved and conical contours are a plasterboarding nightmare.
As it comes up like that, it's going to be smaller at the top, so you have to cut the board at an angle. That makes it awkward. There's a lot of measuring and cutting, so it's going to be a slow process. But we're experts.
Following years of neglect, Hazel's Oast House is structurally stable, and its roof turrets have been resurrected for the first time in half a century. After 5 months, the structure is looking more like its original mid-19th century self again. Today, the team reaches a landmark moment. Darren is back on site to install the cowls.
Well, so basically this goes in the bottom of the post. So that, and then we'll fit this into the top of the roof, and these work together. When we fit the cowl, this is fitted in the top of the roof, and then it'll be full of grease, and then before we fit every cowl, we always put the Queen's head in there, and the coin of the realm that goes in there, and then the cowl will come down with the pin in the bottom, locate in there with all the grease, and it will turn on that. It's really simple, not complicated, no bearings, nothing to go wrong, nothing to seize up. And it says it would have been 100 years ago.
Darren has constructed the roof in the traditional way, but with one essential addition. a watertight cap.
Originally, this wouldn't have been here. It would have been open, so the air would have come up through the kiln, drawn up through the cow, and the front will suck the air out from inside and put all those flames up and get it all burning and get it drying, and it's perfect. But now, obviously, this is a house, and they don't want loads of water flooding into the roof. The cow will work to a certain extent, but like when we have a false nine, it's blowing a hoolie and the cow's running about and the water's flying everywhere, this is what that's for.
The fingers of the cow will ensure it still turns, as they would have centuries ago. Darren has even added a personal touch for Hazel.
Hazel, she loves dogs, so we put a dog on one finger. I think it's very similar to the dog that she's got now, so that'll work. And then the other motif is a cow. And obviously this used to be a cattle farm, so I'm guessing it's a little hark back to the history of the farm. So something new and something old, so it works.
With everything in place, it's now time to carefully crane the expertly crafted cowls onto the top of the roundels. A cowl can weigh up to 220 kilograms, and these need to be lifted 20 meters in the air. Today, the weather may be against them.
Windy up there today.
It's an anxious moment for Hazel. A strong gust could blow the cowl into the scaffold, so they must be on guard.
This one comes up, we put it between the two, so I just guide him in. Well, you just get hold of it. You got it?
One cowl craned up, one to go.
Left, hold it there. That's it, stop. Now down. We're on.
What a change from day one.
I've been waiting for them to go on.
That'll work, won't it?
Isn't it?
That's it. Go on. Put it in. That's a bit harder.
With both cowls in place, they can slot in the fingers.
And you can take that out the back, right, in that, straight in the arm. That's the icing on the cake. It's absolutely perfect. It's back how it was 120 years ago. It's great, isn't it?
It's lovely. I say it'd be nice when the scaffolding's down, you'll be able to see more of it.
Back in the day when they were picking hops, the family would go picking hops, and every time they picked a bushel, they'd go to see the tally man, and he'd pull out his tally stick for that family, and he'd put a notch on it. And so at the end of the week, you go and see the tally man, you've got 6 notches, 6 bushels, and then you get paid. So we use this as like a service book. So I'll put on there the date today, 2 cows, just put a signature on there. It's better than having a piece of paper sitting in the drawer that will get lost. It's been a great job. It's another bit of history saved.
Hazel and Glyn hoped it would only take 6 months to transform the Oast House. After 5 months, the exterior is looking good. The roof is sealed, the exterior brickwork restored. The team's final challenge is to turn the unusual shaped interior spaces into functional rooms.
This project's all about being round. Everything's round. You're in a round room, keep everything round, and that's the main goal. Thinking outside the box, but inside the circle.
With the interior space divided up and walls smoothly plastered, Stu's next task is to install the timber fittings.
We've put all the skirting on now, and we've done all the window boards like this in the roundels, so we've kept the curvature, it's all rounded off.
One of Stu's biggest challenges is to fit a square staircase to these round walls. His plan is to build it in many straight sections. Stu must connect each section to the curved wall, as well as a centre post that bears the weight. They must fit together perfectly and hug the walls precisely, so the straight edges blend seamlessly to the contours of the roundel.
So this is my staircase.
Each section of the staircase is being cut to size in a workshop off-site.
I'm like a kid with sweets.
The big question, will it fit?
Yeah, the things with the host houses, it was never designed to have a staircase in the first place. So there lies the problem with these round walls. So it should, in theory, all fit. We'll see.
Beautiful. Yeah, that's in.
I'll give it a little bit of a wiggle. Yeah. Beautiful.
Oh, and you've just missed my window board. Mate, it could not have been any tighter. So you knew that, Steve?
I knew the window's there, yeah. Probably not quite as tight as that.
Yeah, go on then.
I'll lift it up.
It's good to be like living in the area and actually working on some of these old buildings. It's nice to see them coming back to life.
With the staircase in, the team races to complete the finishing touches.
It's always like this at the end of a job. Go, go, go.
Because you want, obviously, the hinges to be hidden, didn't you? And then
yes.
cladding to carry on.
They're cladding just to carry on. Yeah. When all the pressure's on, you just reflect and think, you know what? This is the job, this is the project. It makes it all worthwhile. Look, this Garden of England. This is Henry VIII's country. I've got my beautiful Queen. I've got Lord Nelson. And I've got I am, my Henry VIII. I'm not interested in the politics, I'm just your everyday builder. But I do believe in my history, so this is why I'm so glad and privileged to be out here to do this. It's a dream. That's the main goal. Get the job right and then enjoy it.
At the old farmhouse, 79-year-old Hazel is gearing up for her first house move in 57 years.
We've already packed a few things up, you know, different bits and pieces, photographs, ornaments, getting it all ship-shaped. Years ago, my husband used to say that would make a nice house, the host, and it's come true.
After a 4-week push, Stu has finally completed work on the Oast house. It's now ready for Hazel and her beloved dog, Lucy.
It's a good girl, because you're going down there to live, aren't you?
When I stand here and look at that, I'm so happy. What an achievement. Beautiful.
Today, Stu is handing the keys back to Hazel.
Morning, Hazel.
Morning, Stuart.
How you doing?
All right, thank you.
Nervous?
Yes and no.
Hazel has sold the old farmhouse to a young family, meaning the move to the Oast house is imminent.
Well, how do you feel about leaving a big part of your life, this house?
I've got to move on. Somebody else is coming in here. They've got children, and I hope they'll be happy.
Ah, quality. So you've got no regrets?
No.
You're looking forward to the change?
Yes.
God, you're brave.
Yeah.
My wife hates change.
Well, I hope. This will be the first one.
Oh, was it?
Yeah, since I was married, so we just see how it goes.
Stu and his team have spent over 7 months working to bring Hazel's Oast house back to life. It's finally time to say goodbye.
Hazel.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much indeed.
You're welcome. Kiss cuddle.
Yeah.
All right. So you got your new house now?
Yes. Thank you very much for all your boys, what you've done.
Eight months after the build began, Hazel has left the old farmhouse and moved into the completed Oast house. The Oast house has been fully restored to its former glory. The black traditional timber barn and the two circular cone forms are once again interlocked. The curved surfaces and brick details support the clay-tiled conical roof, with Darren's cows sitting pretty on the top. It has undergone a truly remarkable transformation by mixing intensive labour and fine craftsmanship. This old farm workhorse has been reconfigured into a comfy house. But after living in the old farmhouse for over half a century, is Hazel calling the Oast House home?
You soon settle in. I never did like it in over there. So when I come here, it feels like home.
The inside of this historic structure has undergone an extraordinary transformation.
This end is the kitchen. It's nice and light.
Downstairs, the open-plan kitchen dining area leads into the two circular rooms. The east roundel is Hazel's new living room.
This is the front room. It just looks nice in here. I can still look out the windows and have a nose and see what's going on.
And the west roundel houses her utility room.
I've got the washing machine, tumble dryer and my freezer in here.
Stu's expertly crafted staircase fits seamlessly to the curved walls of the west roundel and leads up to the first floor landing.
This is the half roundel, what was like downstairs.
The east roundel has been transformed into a comfy bedroom.
This is the other oast, and it's been made into a bedroom. And there's the cowls go up there, right up the top there.
The old cooling barn now houses Hazel's bathroom and bedroom.
This is the bathroom. In the shower room is a wet room, actually. They've made a good job of it, you must admit. This is my room. You could look out the windows and see all the sheep and the cows out in the fields. As long as we can have a nose out, that's the main thing. Very happy with it all. It was worth waiting for.
Hazel's historic Oast House has undergone a miraculous change. The once derelict hop house is now well and truly a home. Family friend and project manager Glyn Charlton had hoped to have completed the build in 6 months.
We had done some extra things on the way, like building the decking, and there were 1 or 2 other jobs which we added to the original project. So having come out of it at 8 months, we were quite happy.
The original budget was £270,000. But having secured the sale of the farmhouse, Hazel decided to upgrade areas of the Oast, choosing underfloor heating, higher quality fittings and a stove that cost £10,000. Ensuring her new home is comfortable and luxurious for a cost of £290,000.
And we also future-proofed the house because with Hazel getting older, we wanted to make sure if she wanted to live downstairs, she could. So the lounge can become a bedroom and there is a shower and bathroom downstairs.
And the extras don't stop there.
We decided to add the garage and some decking, and we ended up at around the £325,000 mark. Working together with the builders and the guy doing the plans, we thought we'd got something that Hazel would like. Thank goodness we did.
Yes!
After 57 years in the farmhouse, Hazel is embracing the move to next door.
It looks nice here with the plants out. Over there I had plants, but they never looked so well as these.
When the project first started, this structure was barely recognisable as an oast house at all. The wonderful conical roofs had been cut off and it was in a terrible condition. Now it is rejuvenated, reborn.
You thought, am I doing the right thing? I think it was something you just got over, and then afterward you see it coming along and think, that's right, be glad when I get in there. I've had no qualms at all. Feels like home now.
Hazel's incredible attitude to take this project on when she was 79 and move in when she was 80 says a lot about her character. It also means she's managed to stay on the farm she loves. That's the cherry on the cake, or the cow on the oast house. How do you transform a cavernous cold church into a futuristic house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial workshops to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
Initially when we took it on, it was just falling apart.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
That isn't going to happen until next year, never mind 3 weeks' time.
It's absolutely barreling down.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
In this episode, a creative couple.
I think.
Maybe a hat instead, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Battle crumbling brickwork.
The original wall has come away from the chapel.
On a shoestring budget.
The carcass was 150 quid. We bought the sink for 50 quid.
Magpie here.
Recruiting friends and neighbours.
Pears, these are absolutely
They're amazing.
beautiful.
We're going to owe lots of people lots of time doing things after we've finished.
To help them transform this historic chapel.
Oh my God.
Into their dream home.
Hey! Gosh, it's much more beautiful than I realised.
In the mid-Devon countryside.
Right, here we go.
Alice and Daniel Shamroth enjoy spending their weekends exploring junk stores and car boot sales, hunting for vintage gems to upcycle. This resourceful couple met in 2008 and married 6 years later. Alice is a professional photographer.
You get somewhere like this and you think, oh, I might find something amazing today.
While Daniel, also known as Shammy, makes a living as a musician. She don't wanna go play in the water. Together, they're skilled in the art of spotting a bargain.
Yeah.
30 quid each.
Those are great.
So we've got that and that.
So just those two?
250 for both.
Lovely,
right?
yep.
Now they're hoping to put their creative talents to good use on their biggest find yet. After living together for nearly 10 years, they're leaping onto the property ladder for the very first time. Their first house will be their greatest upcycle project yet. They plan to transform this mid-19th century chapel into their perfect pad.
This is where we enter the kind of heart of the chapel. Got nice height here, nice and light.
The chapel's last service was held in the summer of 2015. Alice and Shami bought the building 2 years later.
A home to us is being able to have an inspiring space that we wake up every morning and feel that we want to be creative in, that we want to have a family in.
As soon as we walked through the door, we both completely fell in love with it.
The stone-built chapel is tucked away in the Devonshire village of Zilmonacorum. The structure was built in 1855. Away from the main road, its nickname is the Hidden Chapel.
Until this building was built, the Congregationalists were meeting in the living room of somebody's house, and they actually got that consecrated in order to have it as a church, and then they managed to raise the money to build this building.
In 1939, the building was modernised, gaining running water and a flush toilet. A new extension for its Sunday school was built in 1952, but nothing has been done since.
It's all down to Alice, really. She loves finding old things and turning them into something reimagined or something new. And this is, yeah, the ultimate version of going to the tip and finding something lovely.
After years of neglect, this chapel is going to need all of their creative problem solving to turn it into a home.
So as you come out of the chapel, down the steps, you're into what would have been the old kitchen kind of scullery area.
This would have been the old Sunday school. This kind of slightly scary looking bit of wall here actually is just where the two buildings have come apart slightly.
This chapel came with some added extras, but where some people see trash, Alice sees treasure.
Here's all the lovely old cups that the congregation would have had their tea out of, and teapots. We're going to keep it all and use it. We love it. And all of these were left. These are all the old hymn books and things, which I love. I just love the typography and the covers. So we're going to frame some of these.
To save money, Alice and Shami took a risk and bought the chapel for just £40,000 without permission for conversion. But with an uncle who is a surveyor and a cousin in planning, they managed to argue their case successfully and get their scheme approved. Alice and Shami's idea is to maintain the chapel's open-plan design and utilise it as one large living space. The ground floor will become a kitchen diner and lounge area. They'll create a mezzanine level with a spiral staircase at the entrance of the chapel to be their main bedroom. The old toilet area will be turned into a bathroom and spare bedroom. And they'll remodel the Sunday school to become a studio with a small south-facing terrace to make up for the current lack of outdoor space.
It's quite a large room, really, in terms of the footprint of the building. It's all south-facing, so we've got some sunshine, we can have barbecues out here and so on.
I can come and work in here and edit in here. The light will be great.
Hang a few guitars on the wall.
Hang a few guitars, only a few. A few guitars on the wall. And then, yeah, further down the line, kind of children's playroom, but also have a sofa bed in here so that friends can come and stay. So, yeah, multifunctional.
Alice and Shami are confident they can do all this on a budget of only £60,000. They need to save money wherever they can. They won't be able to live in the chapel during the build, so they're staying rent-free 30 miles down the road with Alice's mum, Tess.
There's normally a glass of wine in hand, though. And mother-in-law sometimes lets you have a gin and tonic. We're living with Mum at the moment, and we have been for quite a while. Mum's been amazing, not charging us any rent, so we can save loads of money.
Although a money-saving move, there are other reasons the family have pulled together at this time. Alice's father, Ian, sadly passed away shortly after they purchased the chapel.
We were all sort of looking after each other after Dad passed away.
The way the circumstances have kind of transpired and everything's kind of fallen, we've been able to be here, and that's been amazing.
Ian was a huge influence on them taking on the project.
Dad absolutely loved the chapel. He was, really excited about our ideas and loved the building. He was really into sort of
Georgian buildings and symmetry and proportion, and so it appealed to all of his senses of design and everything. And we were able to tell him just before he died that we had got the planning through, which was amazing. I think that the build process has actually been a really cathartic one for Mum. It's a diversion, it's something else that's going on, and it's not focusing on the grief, but at the same time we're all hugely aware that Dad would be so proud of what we've done.
18 months after buying their chapel, Alice and Shami have the green light and work on the build finally begins.
It's been a long, long wait, and now it's actually happening.
Now we've got the guys here, we've cleared the pews, we could really see the space once the pews are cleared, and the steels are going in. It's all kicking off, which is great.
The team's first task is to install a steel frame. This will not only support the mezzanine bedroom, but also bolster the strength of the entire building. Colin Weeks is the project's lead builder.
To get these steels upright, it was never going to marry up with the walls because the walls are so out of square. So the challenge was to get them in, chase out behind the steels to get it dead level so that the middle piece can get bolted together and everything then is parallel, level and straight.
Colin and his team must install 4 steel beams to support the new mezzanine floor. But because the walls are uneven, the beams might not fit. Also, an old tie bar that holds up the 164-year-old walls is in their way. Colin must weld the ends of the old bar to the new steel supports, then cut the bar and hope their new steels can take the weight of the massive stone walls. Transforming this old relic into a home is not going to be easy.
They're always a challenge. Not like a new build, when you build it from scratch, you're building it upright, you're building it square. This is just a completely different challenge altogether.
The steel beams must sit perfectly level, or the mezzanine floor will sit at an angle.
Yeah, that's spot on. More than happy with that, yeah.
With the beam level, they must make sure that it supports the wall before they remove the old tie bar.
Once we release that tie bar and cut it, there's a good chance that the walls could spread. So we need to weld the tie bar onto our new steels so that the walls can't spread or go anywhere.
It's time to find out if the new steel beams are doing their job supporting the building.
They're about to snip off the tie bar, and fingers crossed, when they snip it, the whole walls don't fall down. Oh no! Look at that! We should use that for something.
With the chapel still standing, the interior begins to take shape. After 4 months of work through the winter, the mezzanine floor and spiral staircase are in. The old kitchen and scullery area have been boarded out and are starting to take shape.
So this back section here has really come on. It's really exciting. We've got this area here that's going to be the utility room. And then through here...
Into the bathroom.
Big bath in here, loo. What was really exciting is getting this height. So this is going to be our spare room.
And I'm standing where?
The bed will be here.
The outside loo used to be.
Yes, yeah. So this
used to be the outside loo.
Skanky old outside loo.
Space. And once we've got that window there, it's going to bring a lot of light in.
Yeah, it'd be lovely.
The team's next challenge is to brave the cold, to transform the old Sunday school into a studio and terrace. They want to retain as much of the old brickwork as possible, but this old wall is falling apart.
The original wall has come away from the chapel. When we've looked closer, you can see it's kind of shifted. You can see a gap down here on the floor where the whole thing's come away from the original footings. So we're going to have to take this down and rebuild it.
Stabilising the wall will take extra time and money. Attempting to transform this historic structure on a limited budget is ambitious. The problems are starting to snowball.
It is the way it goes. It's the nature of old buildings, but it is a few hundred quid here, a few hundred quid there, things we weren't expecting.
Some days you see massive progress and you get excited, and some days you're just dealing with problems.
But a problem shared is a problem halved, and today they're rallying the troops. The challenge? To paint the chapel's huge 160 square metres of interior wall space.
We've got to madly try and get everything painted before the kitchen comes in, so we thought we'd invite loads of friends and family and get them to all help. So yeah, lots of swaps and favours, and we're going to owe lots of people lots of time doing things after we've finished.
To see the whole space starting to turn white, it's just really opened it up, hasn't it?
The paintwork needs to be finished before they can install the bespoke kitchen, which is being made by upcycling the chapel's pews. The kitchen is being built in Devon, on England's south coast, in the workshop of skilled carpenter Kes McGee. He's a good friend of Alice and Shammy's and has taken on the challenge of transforming the old chapel pews into handmade kitchen cabinets and worktops to retain the chapel's heritage.
I can definitely see their sort of dream and their creative side. It's awesome what they're doing.
To cut costs, Alice has bought a set of second-hand cupboard carcasses for just £150 to use as the skeleton of the kitchen units.
This is the plan for the kitchen. I use CAD for this, actually. I bought a couple of sanding discs and that's it, you know, £3.50 or something. Just my time.
Each pew is made of 3 main pieces. Kes will remodel the aisle pieces into doors for the cupboards and drawer units. He'll attach the hardwood seats together to create new worktops. The back of the pews will fix onto the exposed areas of the second-hand kitchen carcasses.
This is the end of the pew, so that would have sat like there. You wouldn't really want that in your kitchen, would you? But you just wait for the miracles.
This isn't a job for the faint-hearted.
So this is all sort of starting to rot, and it's got signs of worm. You can see the worm has just like totally destroyed that.
These century-old pews are a dream meal for woodworm. But it isn't putting off master craftsman Kes.
This is all pitch pine, which you can't get hold of pitch pine anymore. It's such a good timber. Like, if you look at the grain on this, so you've got the winter growth here, which is that tight, sort of darker grain, which is full of the resin. Then you've got the spring and summer growth. It's like a history book, really, a tree like that.
First, Kes must cut the old pew end down to size, so it fits over the second-hand units.
That's it, simple as, it comes apart. Those get slotted out. That can all be cleaned up now. All the rot's gone, totally perfect.
Alice wants dark wood cabinets, so Kes is using an innovative approach to achieve the right look. It's called yakisugi.
Good for a winter's day.
Yakisugi, meaning burnt cedar, is an ancient Japanese timber preservation technique.
There we go. You can see all the resin, look here, bubbling out. This is why this timber's so durable.
Yakisugi was fashionable throughout 17th century Japan, but its origins date back even further. The Haruji Buddhist temple near Nara in Japan is home to the earliest existing example of the technique. It can be seen in the temple's 5-storey, 100-foot pagoda, which dates back to 711 and is the world's oldest wooden structure.
It doesn't matter how much you blowtorch it, the more you blowtorch it, the more this burns away. And the deeper you go, the more character you're going to get out of the timber.
Kes sands the charred pitch pine back to give the old pews a new lease of life.
So that is a cupboard. That is a door cupboard. We fit these ones back in. This plane's probably be about as old as the pew. And these ones just slide straight back in there. Ta-da! One cupboard door. All it needs is 2 hinges and a handle. That's it. And that, you got a cupboard. Better than it used to look.
1 cupboard down, 10 to go.
These are some drawers which I've turned from the pew seats. I've worked on kitchens which people have paid like 70 grand for a kitchen. And it's like, are you serious? You know, this has cost nothing. And it just shows that this kitchen will be totally unique. No one else will have a kitchen like this, and it's free, apart from a bit of labour.
Someone who believes in sustainability and upcycling as much as Alice is Cressy Wesling. She and partner Elvis run a business that transforms discarded industrial waste, like old fire hoses, into luxury items such as belts, purses and bags. In 2013, they found the dream historic building, tucked away in the Kent countryside, to use as a base for both their business and home.
This building was built in 1837 and it was designed to be a flour mill. So the grain would come in, they'd grind it into flour, and at the far end of the building over there they actually had a bakery.
Cressy and Elvis bought this old flour mill for £355,000. Transforming the vast 6,000 square foot industrial structure into 4 live workspaces was a Herculean task.
It was divided up into lots of little rabbit warrens, lots of little spaces. It was very, very gross and covered in muck in a lot of locations.
It took them 2 years, and Cressy was keen to maintain as much of the building's historic character as possible.
We've got all of the original flooring, all of the windows are original, because we didn't really want to produce any waste when we were fixing the building.
As with Alice and Shammy's chapel, the kitchen is very much the heart of this home.
I love these lights that are above the peninsula, which are old fire buckets. These kitchen cabinets were all in the mill, so we just sanded it back and sprayed them all black to keep the kind of look quite neutral in here. Then all of the wood accents that are around here, like the wood that's on the edge and the wood that makes the shelving, is all reclaimed scaffolding board. The countertop is made entirely of tiny little bits of scrap marble and granite. It was relentless, but it was also always exciting. I think, you know, it's tough to say, and maybe Elvis would disagree, but I think we kind of wish we had another project now.
This is a stunning example of how to create a distinctive home with sustainable materials, hard work, and determination. In Devon, Alice and Shammy are celebrating a major milestone in the transformation of their chapel.
Really exciting day today.
We've got our kitchen arriving.
Yeah, good day.
After 4 weeks' work, Kes is bringing the old pews back home.
We're so excited. It's our kitchen in a trailer. Quick, 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 quick.
Oh, mate, nice one. Thank you so much for bringing it down.
Can't wait to see it all together. That's a countertop.
Yeah, they need sanding down.
Oh my God.
They're amazing, aren't they? Awesome.
God,
That's the corner
one.
These are the shelves from the back of the pews, and we saved them to use them as kick plates. And they've got all this lovely old graffiti.
Yeah, the pews are back.
This one-off kitchen is finally coming to life, and Alice's clever approach to reuse and recycle is helping them keep costs down.
The carcass was 150 quid. We bought the sink for 50 quid, and then Kez's labour, which is about £1,000. Compared to going to wherever and getting one made, it's much cheaper and much more interesting.
Magpie here.
Yeah. So exciting having our own sink.
Yeah. 2.5 years down the line, we finally can see our first ever proper kitchen in our first ever house that we've owned. So, yeah, it's exciting times.
Alice is particularly excited about the new fixtures she's bought to add a touch of glitz to the chapel's new look.
These are the most beautiful lampshades anyone's ever seen in their life. And they were only £5. There's a slight discussion about where they're going to appear. Sammy's not completely sure about them, but I think...
Maybe a hat instead, yeah. There we go.
Yeah.
Perfect.
It's all systems go as the kitchen takes shape.
Have you got 3 of these?
Got 3 of these, yeah.
Okay.
Or 3 of something, if we're not sure about them.
The creative sparks are flying.
And then the fairy lights are going along that pole,
Okay.
aren't they?
Yeah, that's fine. You
Yeah.
can always put a controller on it so they can twinkle.
Ah.
Still getting very gold and twinkly. I'm not
Sammy's
sure what's going on.
Designing your own home is a challenge. Making the best use of space can be difficult, but it also gives you the chance to innovate and create something unique and very personal.
These are some amazing radiators that came from Plymouth Naval College originally. They were originally £550 for 3, and we went to see them and fell in love with them, but we said we can't pay that, I'm really sorry. But I haggled. Slowly over time, I wore her down. £300, £100 each. So that's really, really good, because ones half this size go for about that normally.
The interior of the chapel will remain an open-plan space, with the addition of a mezzanine-level bedroom, which will be accessed by a spiral staircase. Moving furniture into the bedroom would mean trying to fit it up the narrow stairway, which wouldn't work. So Alice has come up with a clever solution. She's found 2 semicircular vintage window frames online for £60. They're welding these together to create a circle and fitting it into a frame. The window will be hinged, enabling it to swing open so they can hoist furniture up into the mezzanine space. The task of installing the feature window rests on the shoulders of good friends Mark and Alan.
Now it's getting to that point where we're using our friends with bespoke skills.
Using our friends.
Using our
We've
friends.
run out of money, so we've got to use
We're exploiting our friends.
To try and keep the build on budget, Alice and Shami are striking deals to pay their friends in creative ways.
Done lots of swaps for wedding photography with people and making websites and all of those sort of trades and barters kind of coming into play now, aren't they?
Yeah.
So yeah, we're going to still have a lot of things to do when we've finished and go and help people with their projects, but it's really nice, yeah, kind of having people around us that we know and love.
Mark and Alan need to anchor the wooden window frame firmly into the wall. It'll weigh around 70 kilos once the glass is installed.
There's a lot of weight on this window, and the window's going to swing right out across the room, so we want to make sure, you know, the whole thing is well supported, basically.
Mark and Alan have devised an ingenious solution to make sure that Alice's idea doesn't come crashing down.
We went for gate hinges because obviously we know that they can carry the load. Got a steel brace, we're going to fix that, through bolt it, then we know for sure that no accidents will happen.
While the boys get on with the window installation, Alice and Shami inspect progress on the transformation of the old Sunday school into a studio.
The bifolds went in a couple of weeks ago.
Yep.
Really exciting. But it suddenly made this room look bigger.
There was this kind of false ceiling in there, which was very low and oppressive. And as soon as we got rid of that and revealed the height, we started to visualise what we could do with this space. We're really happy with the extension. It's turned into kind of a zone 2 of the chapel, hasn't it?
And it's nice to have that contrast and the light flooding through.
Yeah.
It's boiling in there today.
Alice and Shami have come up with yet more ingenious ways to maximise the potential of their sunny terrace.
One of the things we've spoken about is bringing the patio up to the same level as the floor inside. It should be one giant indoor-outdoor room. Yeah.
Yeah. These pews.
These pews we're going to have around the edge, aren't we, for seating? Outdoor wood burner in the corner, yeah, of course.
Barbecue.
A barbecue there. Yeah. We want to obviously utilise this amazing view and keep as much of that as possible, but still have a bit of privacy. It's lovely.
Yeah.
We'll just enjoy that every day.
This chapel has been blessed with views across Zeal since it was built in 1855, but the village's history goes back a lot further. It's thought that King Canute gifted Zeal to Buckfast Abbey, a Benedictine monastery, in 1018. The village's full name, Zeal Monachorum, is Latin for cell of the monks. Zeal remained the property of the abbey until the dissolution of the monasteries in 1539, but its ecclesiastical past is remembered today on the village sign. Alice and Shami's chapel sits nestled in the heart of this historic Devonshire village. Used as a place of worship for over 150 years, transforming it into a home is creating many unique challenges. The problem of getting up to the mezzanine was solved by one of Alice's greatest finds. This spiral staircase cost only £500 and fitted the space exactly.
This actually came from Oxford University. We just built it and it just fitted.
The handmade circular window is another individual feature of the build, and today it's ready to be tested.
It's a one-off piece, isn't it? So, you know, it's not like it's in everyone's front room. Right, you both ready?
Ready. Woohoo! Amazing! Wicked, look at that.
It's amazing.
As Tim the electrician was doing some final wiring, he uncovered an interesting feature in the front porch.
The electrician had to take the wire through the panelling of the old porch, and he said, do you mind if I take off a little bit of the panelling so that I can get the wire through easily? So we were like, yeah, no problem, just try and take it off in one piece, we can put it back on again. And when he did that, we revealed this really nice stone behind it. So we thought, well, we might as well reveal it completely.
That's the kind of beauty of this kind of project, isn't it? You kind of uncover things that you didn't know were going to be there, and then it sort of changes the direction you're going to take the building a little bit. You know, obviously the front door is such a fundamental point of a building. It's the first thing you see, you know, when you're coming through the doors. So we want it to look in keeping with the period.
Eager to see what lies behind the rest of the panelling, they waste no time tearing it down.
Whoa, look at that.
Oh my God. Hey. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Whoa.
Perfect.
And in just 10 minutes, they've uncovered the original stonework.
It looks amazing.
And now we've got lots of new ideas about what we want to do with it.
Yeah. We're now thinking, having revealed the beautiful stone archway, we can do better, can't we?
do better.
Even with a tiny budget. Yeah, have wooden carved posts or something.
Inspired by the unlocked potential of the chapel's entrance, Alice and Shami are visiting Alice's favourite reclamation treasure trove.
After a bit of talking, but we have decided to knock that whole atrocious monstrosity down. This is potentially what it would look like without the porch there. The dream would be to try and find some posts that we could make a kind of portico to go over the top, and then we'd have a flat top. And then in time, maybe we can enclose it. Right, so should we go and find the columns of dreams?
Let's do it.
Let's go.
We found it.
If we cut that in half and stuck it on the front of the chapel, oh my God, it would look amazing. These are great.
Do you reckon? A 7-foot cast pillar, 325 including VAT.
Each. Maybe we can afford one.
Cool.
And then these things are lovely. A couple of those either side of the front door with a bay tree in.
Mm-hmm. Having found planters for bay trees, yard owner Oliver is keen to show them some traditional porch columns, fresh in.
Missed those.
We've totally missed those.
Yeah, I mean, they're not cheap, to be honest, but they are absolutely awesome.
So what are we looking at for those?
600 for the pair.
600 for the pair. Yeah.
Should we give them a measure? How much would you be able to do that?
I will take 500.
Even with a generous discount, the columns would take a hefty chunk out of their tight budget. So for now, attention turns back to the planters.
What would you do on a couple of those?
The absolute best I can do is 24 quid a piece.
OK, we could definitely take 2 of those today.
Yeah.
And we'll have to have a chat about the pillars, because I'm slightly in love with those.
Yes. That one's similar.
That one. More over there. Oh, there's one.
Perfect, we have a match.
You might want to paint them.
The planters will be a welcome addition to the new entrance, but they're going to have to count their pennies to see if their budget will stretch to the columns of dreams.
Yeah, perfect.
It's been over 2.5 years since Alice and Shammy bought their 19th century chapel in the mid-Devon village of Zeal Monacorum, and 15 months since they started work on it. At the end of the chapel, the old Sunday school has been transformed into a sunny extension. With the old porch demolished and the longed-for columns on the back burner for now, the simple addition of the 2 planters has made the once uninviting entrance look smart and welcoming. Inside, Alice and Shammy have completely reconfigured what was a large, cold, empty space into zoned and practical living areas that really show off this couple's creative talents.
What we loved when we first opened the doors was the sense of space and the height and the light.
All thanks to those large chapel windows that let the sun flood in from all angles. But it's this couple's attention to detail that's turned this once derelict chapel into a home. Alice's bargain radiators and a wood burner make a real statement and transform this once cold space into somewhere warm and cosy.
The heat rises up, so it gets hot up there. The bedroom gets nice and cosy, but then it sort of filters down.
In every corner, there's evidence of Alice and Shammy's thrifty approach to living. The chapel's packed with the treasures they've curated over nearly 10 years of living together.
When your back's against the wall and you haven't got much, a huge budget, it does force you to be creative.
Yeah, we've used everything that we possibly can, and things that we haven't managed to use yet, we've got in storage to turn into shelves in the future, or, you know, wardrobes when we've got more money.
Upstairs on the mezzanine level is the elegant master bedroom. Beyond that, there's a simple yet chic ensuite. They've cleverly incorporated the top of a chapel window into the room, giving it the brightness and warmth they love.
It's our little nest, and it's almost like a little treehouse.
Perhaps the most ingenious and beautiful feature of this space is that huge circular window, one of the many things achieved with the help of one of Alice and Shammy's friends.
our rubbish collection man, Jordan Stroke welder,
He's
designer.
been amazing, yeah. We literally found he turned up one day to pick up some rubbish and we thought, we like you can stay.
Yeah.
So we've got him to do loads of stuff. So he welded this and he helped us put in all the copper, and some of this metal came off his shed. If you sit at the end of the bed, the God Is Love sign is framed perfectly in the window.
Upstairs certainly makes the most of the limited space. Downstairs, it's the kitchen that showcases Alice and Shammy's upcycling at its finest. The old cupboard carcasses have been completely transformed into a unique, bespoke kitchen. The Japanese yakisugi finish on the chapel's old pews doesn't just look good, it also makes the wood fire retardant and waterproof, ideal for use in a kitchen. And Alice got her lights. There's plenty more to see in the rear extension. A traditional and stylish bathroom features a roll-top bath and reclaimed brass fittings. Stairs lead down to the new, bright studio, opening to an enclosed terrace with a stunning view.
This was the original Sunday school room. We've kept the height. Now we've got a really usable studio space.
Removing the end of the old Sunday school and repurposing it as a terrace beautifully connects the inside to the outside with the help of large bifolding doors.
We can just pull these right back and just enjoy the space. It's a real sun trap.
There's no doubt that Alice and Shammy have risen to the challenge of breathing new life into what was a run-down shell. It's taken more than a year of hard work and has been stressful at times, but they now have a home to be very proud of.
There was a point in the middle where we thought, oh, what have we done? But now, definitely,
Totally worth it.
100%
Totally worth it. We love it.
Shammy and Alice hope to complete the build on a total budget of just £100,000.
We definitely have gone over that. But we think in total, including buying it, about 130. Plumbing bits cost us more than
that did cost a fair whack.
than we expected. The back extension, we weren't going to have floor-to-ceiling glass, but we decided as soon as we saw that view that it'd be silly not to, so we spent a bit more on that. There's no way we could have got anywhere near a home as beautiful as this for as little as it's cost.
Yeah.
If we'd done the traditional way of buying. It's a bit wet and horrible.
To mark the end of the project, Alice and Shammy have gathered their friends and family to celebrate a joint effort well done.
Anybody for a cup of tea? Would you like a cup of tea?
Alice's mum Tess has been with them every step of the way.
My husband would be so proud of them, and it's a special building. It's just got the most lovely atmosphere. It's a real family effort, really, I feel, and it's worked.
It was Jordan who created the bedroom's striking circular window.
Originally, I was commissioned to take the rubbish away, and then I ended up welding windows, doing patios, making copper handrail, towel rail things. I've done all sorts.
Neighbour Graham has also played a key part in the build.
Plastered the ceiling, made the doors, hung the doors. We're a village, we help each other. I'm hoping they'll join the Skittles team.
It was a building site not that long ago, and they've done an incredible job. I think everybody should be really proud of the whole thing.
Let's do a big cheers to the chapel and let's have a party. Cheers!
How do you transform a cold, cavernous church into a futuristic house? Or turn dilapidated old barns into stylish family homes? From industrial workshops to ancient windmills, this series follows brave homeowners.
Initially, when we took it on, it was just falling apart.
As they take on the seemingly impossible challenges.
That isn't going to happen until next year, never mind 3 weeks' time.
We're absolutely barreling down.
Of transforming historic structures never built to be lived in. We explore the ancient master crafts and ingenious modern design it takes to build an impossible house.
It's another bit of history saved.
In this episode, a determined couple.
These things are sent to trials, but at the end of the day, it's all about getting it right.
Battle torrential weather.
All we need is a bit of dry weather and we can get the rest done.
Yeah.
Precious fittings.
Ooh, got it. Just.
And tight deadlines.
I keep thinking it's close and we're nearly there, but actually we are still quite a long way.
As they blend very old with ultra new to transform this historic church into a supersized, futuristic family home.
I'm too excited to look. Oh, feels like it's starting to be a house.
Using age-old skills and modern technology, can they overcome the colossal challenge of reconfiguring this religious relic for the third millennium? Kimberly and Jerry Coates live on the edge of West Yorkshire. The couple is used to seeing ambitious building projects come to life.
These would probably board in at lower level.
Jerry, a joiner by trade, runs his own construction company.
I've done renovation work before on churches and schools and stuff like that, where we've bought them from dilapidated estate and turned them into flats, houses.
Kimberly's got an eye for interiors.
It's more of a design aesthetic thing for me. The things that make it livable and comfortable and look nice.
Now it's time for them to join forces and put their passions into their own project to create a dream home for themselves. They plan to reconfigure this early 1900s church in the historic heart of Abode. Abode Methodist Church was completed in 1912 and designed by local architect Henry Ascough Chapman. It was a place of worship for 100 years before standing unoccupied from 2014.
I'd been trawling houses for sale in this village for 2 years, and then when this came along, I saw it, rang Jerry and thought, this is definitely for us. And he came the same day and put an offer in there and then, so it was a really quick decision that this was the right property. We just knew.
This rundown building was never designed to be lived in, but together they have plans to turn it into a state-of-the-art 21st century pad.
I could see potential, but obviously it's actually turning that potential into something. And you don't get the vastness of the actual project until you actually get in and have a look at the size of it. And you think, wow, that'd be great to turn into a family home.
They've sold their 5-bedroom house to help fund the build. Jerry's 3 sons have left home. So now Kimberly, Jerry and Kimberly's 2 teenage daughters are living in this 2-bed, 1-bath bungalow until the church is resurrected.
It's cramped. It's an awful lot smaller than our other house, and sharing a bathroom is not something I want to do for very long.
The reconfigured church will be 609 square metres. That's almost 7 times the size of the bungalow. And with plans for 5 ensuite bedrooms, there'll be no more queuing for the bathroom. Kimberly and Jerry want to knock down 2 extensions, but keep the main shell of the church. Its ground floor will be an open-plan lounge and cinema area. and above it, a floating mezzanine pod with the master suite. Around the church, they want to build a modern extension with a large kitchen, diner and living space on the ground floor. A bespoke floating staircase will lead to the first floor and 4 more ensuite double bedrooms. A flat roof with solar panels and a 2-car garage complete the transformation from tired old church into a bright 21st century smart home. Construction maestro Jerry will project manage the build while Kimberly masterminds the design.
I'm more excited about how we're going to use the house. Things that are going to make it easier for us in there. Things like I want a laundry chute where it all just goes straight into the utility room so that I don't have to carry armfuls of laundry downstairs every 5 seconds. I really want it to be modern inside with a nod to the history of the house.
We want to keep its character and try to maintain as much of the church features as we possibly can. We're planning on making it a smart home so that we can use laptop type thing to turn off all the lights and the alarms. This is a project that is going to take some running and doing, but it's a challenge and we like a challenge.
Kimberly and Jerry have got a healthy budget to turn their plans into reality.
We bought it for $550. We're expecting to spend around $650, $7, we'll see.
They're anticipating this mammoth project will take around a year. Jerry's project manager, and the first job, knock down the old to make way for the new. The team needs to demolish the extensions and dig out the floor inside the church. They must then erect a steel frame to support the floating pod and pour over 8 tons of concrete into the pit to create the floor. They'll dig out foundations for the new extension, which will be twice as big as the old ones, and then build up a steel framework for the walls and raise the brickwork up to the first floor. Finally, they'll replace the old tiles on the church and top the extension with a flat roof to finish the house and make it watertight. After 12 weeks, phase 1 is complete and the new exterior shell is up. And at 338 square meters, it has more than doubled the footprint of the home. Now the real work begins inside. Jerry and the team must fit around 1,500 meters of timber battens to the interior brickwork and clad them with insulated plasterboard to keep the chill out of this cavernous void. It's a huge challenge.
There's quite a lot of original walls that are out of level and out of plumb, so we've tried to make it as straight as possible. All the walls are latted to make them all straight, and then we've fit in the plasterboard to that, which gives us nice clean lines, but also picking out the features that are left original, which is like the arches, the windows, the stonework and the beams.
The original features will be in complete contrast to the floating bedroom pod that is slowly growing out of the ground. The staircase will be one of the last things to go in. So for now, a good old-fashioned ladder does the trick.
The lads are on with now building the walls to enclose the bedroom. Once these walls are up, you get a proper visual of what size it's actually going to be.
The team erects a timber frame to form the skeleton of the master bedroom, then clads it with plasterboard. Above the master suite, the church's original pitch pine beams will form a key feature inside the pod.
We've exposed them all and then sandblasted them to bring them back to the original character, to show the grain coming through, and they'll just stay as they are now.
While Jerry works hard to preserve the building's heritage, in the new extension, Kimberly has got free rein to work on the blank canvas that will become the kitchen.
I knew that I wanted something quite striking and quite kind of out of the box. And the worktop is not too far away from being black in the same colour as the door. So obviously people would normally have a contrasting worktop, and I didn't want that. I wanted it to look really blocky. It took Jerry a little while to get his head around the black kitchen. Being a joiner, he likes lots of wood around him, and I don't really, so it was finding that balance. But yeah, he's really, really on board with it now. There's very few decisions that I've made that he's gone, oh no. He kind of just leaves that to me.
So Jerry's taking his love of wood outside. He plans to clad the blockwork of the new extension in strips of timber to create an eye-catching yet durable facade.
The lads are on with giving a coat of stain. It's a manufactured timber. In theory, you could put it underwater and it wouldn't twist or shake, it wouldn't expand. It stays perfectly straight and perfectly joined together. It lasts about 25 to 50 years, this material.
The team needs to seal the blockwork before they attach the timber cladding. To do this, they use a waterproof silicone render. But winter rain causes major problems.
Last night it came down terribly, and we had it protected but not protected well enough, and it all just washed off. Which is why we've got all the temporary boarding up to try to keep the water and moisture off it and try to get it to dry out.
You've got to make sure your backing is dry before you start. Your blockwork, everything's dry. It's just dependent on the weather. That's the bugbear of it, you're just dependent on the weather.
We're just trying to help it along a little bit so we can get this top silicone coat on, which once that dries and sets, the water won't penetrate that whatsoever then. Yeah, that's come up fantastic, hasn't it? All we need is a bit of dry weather and we can get the rest done.
Yeah.
The exterior is just as important as the inside for this build. The church, although set back from the road, has near neighbours, and it's key to Kimberly and Jerry that it blends into its surroundings.
Initially, we felt an enormous responsibility to the village as a whole. It's a very close-knit community, and we knew, this place has got a lot of history. Lots of people that live in the village were married or christened here, so we really felt the weight of that. And I think what's been really, really nice is that people from the village have just walked onto site and, said hello and asked if they can have a look around. So all the feedback we've had has been really, really positive.
The team has made giant leaps forward with the exterior of the extension. They've fitted the timber cladding and are now applying the waterproof silicone render to the blockwork.
All come together, brilliant now. We're lucky this week, we've got a clear run of weather, so that's why we're cracking on with it. This is a finishing coat that goes on at 1.3 millimetre. Any thicker and it runs, so it's got to go on really thin, and it gives us a lovely finish. As long as we get no rain on it tonight, it'll be fine.
With the outside nearing completion, inside, the new floating pod in the main body of the church is also taking shape. The insulated plasterboard's up on the walls and the huge windows are in. Kimberly's trying to get her head around the decor.
So this is our master bedroom, and in all honesty, I'm really, really struggling with the space. I just can't see it at all. Even when the platform was first built, I couldn't see how big it was going to be. I couldn't work out how the windows were going to look. And then when the windows went in, they looked completely different to how I thought they would look. I thought it was going to be glass all the way to the ceiling. I have no idea how to decorate it, and it really is keeping me up at night.
Creating a modern home inside an historic structure is never going to be easy, and these beautiful places of worship throw up more than their fair share of obstacles. All Saints Church in Bramham, 10 minutes down the road from Abode, is Grade 2 listed. Dating back to the 12th century, it's quite a bit older than Kimberly and Jerry's church, but it still has the same issues. Top of the list is its thermal performance. Churches are notoriously chilly. Warming a huge hollow shell takes some thought and expertise. But that's not the only task. How do you carve up what is basically one big room? For a home, you need to think about different rooms, different sizes for different purposes. And maybe that's the biggest challenge. How do you convert a church but keep its soul? Jerry's devised innovative solutions to problems like this. Where he's had to strip out original features to make way for the 21st century additions, he's found creative new homes for them.
This window we carefully took down, managed to store to one side while we got the new walls up. One of our bricklayers managed to install it back into one piece again. It's going to be glazed with a mirrored glass into this new entrance area.
Giving the century-old window a facelift is just one of the upgrades going on here. It's no mean feat keeping a church toasty, so they're installing underfloor heating across the entire ground floor.
We've gone overboard with the insulation, so we should have no problems with keeping it warm, hopefully.
They've laid down special insulation boards onto the concrete floor. These have tracks on top for 2,000 metres of plastic piping to clip into. Pumps channel hot water through the pipes to heat the property. This modern way of warming the 107-year-old structure is one of many innovative techniques being used to transform this vast cold shell into a comfortable family home.
It's going to become a smart home where everything is worked off like an iPad type computer, so a lot of wiring involved in setting all that up.
They're installing more than 7 miles of cables into this home. The family want to control anything electrical in the house remotely, like turning on the TVs and the home music system, turning on the heating, or lighting up the fireplace. To make this possible, the builders must lay 7 miles of cabling for power, lights and data inside the walls and ceilings, without damaging the original features of the church. Finally, they have to link all the cabling together into a central hub in the kitchen's pantry, so the family can control their clever home at the touch of a button.
We have to colour code every single cable in the building. If not, we would not have a clue what cable did what, basically.
Chief Electrician Ash Bowker is responsible for making sure each cable is in the correct place. There's no room for error.
We'd have major problems if we didn't get a cable in on her. We've got to make sure everything's in. There's no going back at all. Once it's plastered, it's plastered. Where you hide the cables as well, you know. You've got to think about keeping the look of the old building. It's just not an easy place to work in an old building like a church, really.
But the smart technology will help shine a light on the building's original beauty.
Well, Jerry wanted to light up all the old features. With the new smart system, we've got the ground lights that shine up onto the existing trusses of the building, and he wanted to light up all the old stained glass windows. So on a night, that'd be a really nice feature for him. So there'll be a lot of lights going up and a lot of lights coming down, and it'll make this a real showpiece, this church area.
As well as highlighting the original charm of the building, design tricks are giving character to the new additions. In the hallway, master craftsman Andy Robinson gives the walls a traditional textured finish called polished plaster before the team fits the floating staircase. The finish is an updated version of the classic Venetian plaster, where marble dust or marble chips are mixed with the plaster to create a marble-like finish. It's a slow and skilled process.
We've left this to dry for the last couple of weeks. Now we're back on site to add the finishing touches. So we're going to sand it, machine polish it, and then we're going to put like a colour wash over it just to finish it off.
It takes 8 coats of the lime-based plaster, applied over 8 days, to perfect the uneven finish of the hallway, designed to link the new build with the old church. Every year, historic, disused churches are being transformed into modern homes across the UK. Tim Self and his partner Annie Lacey bought the Grade 2 listed Holy Trinity Church in the Berkshire village of Graiseley in 2016, after it had been standing empty for 10 years. It took 51 weeks of work to reconfigure the structure into a spectacular 4-bedroom home.
This is a Victorian church. It was finished in 1850, so it's 169 years old. When we first bought the building, it was very tired. The drains were blocked, the water started to soak through the walls, and it was all stained. It looked pretty sorry for itself. We decided that what we wanted was, although it was a Victorian church, it would be a Victorian church that's useful for today and is comfortable to live in. So what we've done is we've essentially bolted in a brand new house by means of a big steel frame.
The church not only retains its vaulted ceilings, stained glass windows, and many original features, but also has a contemporary cantilevered staircase that leads to the bedrooms, and a gallery that overlooks the ground floor living area.
I love the mezzanine floor, the gallery. I love to sit up there and watch things. Very proud of the lighting. I made the main light myself because we found that to get a bespoke light made was going to cost us about £25,000.
This creative light fitting was put together for just under £2,000. And it's just one of the many features here that can be controlled from a phone or a tablet. But despite all of the smart technology, it's the bones of the building that give it its charm, like the beautiful window in the master bedroom.
We have such a lovely light bedroom and the sunsets are amazing, and we've got a chance to put the bathroom here to really show off. The power of this building is in the architecture and the features that are here. And what we really wanted to do was make use of all of those features and show them off to the maximum potential. It's part of the reason that we did this whole thing, to make sure that that all gets preserved and is kept for the future.
It's spring in Aberford, and Jerry's team is making good headway. Outside, they're using local Yorkshire sandstone to construct the boundary walls. Inside, the master suite in the floating pod has been painted, and plumbing and electrics are in. But with Jerry's workers often called away to work on other projects his company has taken on, things are moving slower than planned.
We're hoping to get in by June, so it's quite important stages now. It's all the finishing off parts that everybody sees, so it has to be spot on. We have to make it right. It is exciting, but it's also a bit nerve-wracking.
An ambitious goal with June just 2 months away, but things are moving in the right direction. In the hallway, the polished plaster wall is finished, and they're installing one of this home's most striking new features, the bespoke cantilever staircase. It was designed locally in Yorkshire and cost a pretty penny at £38,000. They secure each solid oak tread into the wall on one side. This creates the illusion that the staircase floats. Louis Zatrak is one of the team who designed the staircase.
The steel construction is within the wall and the treads are bolted all the way through the wall and fixed on the other side, which is actually in the garage.
This creates a problem. The garage is single-storey, but the stairway leads up to the first floor.
The problem that we came across was on the other side. The garage ceiling finished, so we had to use a completely different method of fixing the upper treads. They have shorter studs, which don't go all the way through the wall because obviously you don't want these exposed on the outside. So these are just chemically fixed into the wall.
They squeeze adhesive into the holes in the wall, then bolt the tread into place.
It lines up nicely.
The next challenge, to fit the top of the staircase on the landing. This strip of oak is called a nosing, and the glass balustrade needs to slot into it.
It's a bit tricky because the finished floor isn't in place. There's an MDF floor which resembles the finished floor.
But there's a problem. The temporary floor has been cut right to the edge of the landing. This leaves no room for the nosing. Jerry can't resist getting involved to cut it back.
With me being on site all the time, if something's gone wrong with it, we're not quite sure about, they'll come up to me and say, what do you want to do with this? How do you want me to do this? You know, these things are sent to try us. But at the end of the day, it's all about getting it right, because I'm a bit of a perfectionist. That's why they all come up and ask me all the time.
With the boss on the job, things are moving on. They're kitting out the new build extension with all the mod cons, and the mezzanine level pod in the main body of the church is beginning to resemble the master suite they've dreamt of. But with Jerry's workers often called to other jobs, there's still a way to go. The build is running behind schedule, which is sending them over budget.
I have absolutely no idea how far we are away from being complete. 6 weeks was banded around a couple of weeks ago, but I would still say we're probably at the 5-6 week mark.
In the hallway, all the treads of the bespoke floating staircase are now in. Today, the team is gearing up to fit the glass balustrade.
Yep, somewhere in the middle.
Louis and Artus used this special hoist to hold the massive piece of glass in place. The sheet weighs a whopping 77 kilos.
We are a bit too far away.
Ooh, got it. Just.
Slowly.
The holes in the glass must line up with the holes in the treads.
Right, so what I need you to do is go a little bit lower. Keep going. Yeah.
Yeah. It's in.
Yeah, one in.
The first piece may have slid into place without a hitch, but the second section, which sits higher, will be trickier. It weighs a hefty 65 kilos, making it very difficult to maneuver.
It's one knock and it's gone. I hope you got enough room on ceiling, huh? Quite close to it. Makes these noises, huh? Makes you worry.
Like it's not nerve-wracking enough.
Wait a bit. Can you go upstairs and try slide it into that slot?
The glass panel must not only fit into a slot in the oak nosing, but also line up perfectly with the panel below.
Keep pushing. Yeah. Keep pushing.
Yep.
There you go. Be close. Be close.
Yeah, come on. Yep. Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. It's in.
Looks great, that, doesn't it?
I'm looking forward to be able to walk upstairs instead of climbing a ladder. That's going to be very novel.
Brilliant.
The staircase is one of the brand new features in the home, but Kimberly's keen to make use of what she's saved from the heart of the church too.
I made him keep these tubes that were from the organ. They actually look quite robust, but they're not. They're really quite thin and tinny. My idea was to make some sort of wall art. That's honestly as far as I've got with the idea, but I'm determined to do something with them at some point.
In the kitchen, Andy uses polished plaster again to marry new with old. He applies a special black marble finish called marmorino. This technique dates back to the Roman times, but its popularity soared 500 years ago in Venice during the Renaissance. After 3 coats of plaster, they machine polish, wax, and buff the wall to give it a distinctive gleam. Kimberly's come to see the results for the first time.
I'm too excited to look. Oh, it's perfect. It's absolutely exactly what I wanted. It ties in with the unit. We're going to have this big bronze mirror there. It's just going to be amazing. It feels like it's starting to be a house. Excellent. It's amazing.
The polished plaster wall will be the focal point of the kitchen. Inside the historic section of the home, the huge stained glass or leaded light window catches your eye. Kimberly and Jerry love this stained glass window so much they're working with a local company who specialise in glazing historic buildings to upgrade the glasswork to modern standards.
This is essentially a medieval craft. In medieval times, this was predominantly placed in churches and castles, that sort of thing. Then gradually it became more available to the masses.
Today, most stained glass window work focuses on restoration and repairs. That's because single-glazed, leaded light windows neither keep out the cold nor meet building regulations. Dave has devised an innovative solution to this problem, which unites beauty with functionality. He encloses the stained glass between two modern panes and seals them together with a lead frame.
In the case of Abode, we can incorporate a traditionally made stained glass window within that double glaze unit, so you get all the advantages of the old technology combined with all the advantages of the new technology.
LED light maker Andy is working on one of the central panels of the church's window, and although the shape will stay the same, there's room for a personal touch.
This is the glass that Kimberly's chosen around the edge. We've got this is English antique glass. It's got streaks in it of colour. This is some sort of violet on clear.
Andy uses horseshoe nails to hold the individual pieces of glass in place.
Well, I've cut all my pieces of glass. Now I'm leading them together, and when I've finished it, everywhere a lead touches a lead, it'll be soldered. And then I'll turn it over and solder it to the side.
It's the solder that holds the design together in a stained glass window.
What Chris is doing here is soldering the panel. He's put tallow on it, which is a tallow candle. And that's a flux. It's slightly acidic. As the solder flows out, the acid goes in front of the molten metal and it's able to grip onto the lead and solder it all together. If you don't use the flux when you're soldering, the solder doesn't bond to the lead, it just falls off the lead.
It'll take around 8 weeks to complete the 13 individual panes and fit them into the double-glazed units. On site, the window is now finally ready for installation. The skill and craftsmanship has not only taken time, but also taken a substantial £28,000 out of the budget, but it's worth every penny to Kimberly.
It feels like the crown and glory for the property, really. We've waited a long time for this. We've put a lot of time and thought into what we wanted, and you never know if it's going to pay off.
The church's surrounding countryside inspired Kimberly to choose the colour palette of the stained glass.
We've got this beautiful blue sky, we've got the fields over there that are a beautiful green colour. As the sun comes down, the sky's all pink and purple, and it's all beautiful. So I tried to kind of bring those colours from outside back in through the window.
First, they remove the old panes, then clean the stone grooves before they slot the new frames in. They must be careful not to damage the old stonework as they install the new window.
The stone has got cusps, which is where the stone comes to a point, and that's difficult to shape. You really don't want it to go wrong. That's quite a good fit. It's always nice when it goes well.
Can't wait to see it all in. I think it'll look spectacular.
I think the most awkward part of it is going to be the bottom units. They're going to be heavier.
One of the larger panels won't go in.
They're a little bit tall, so we're going to have to take a little bit off the bottom. Touch wood, it's not a catastrophe.
I don't think they need our assistance.
No, I don't think they do.
If a pane doesn't fit, they must shave the lead to size. They never touch the historic fabric of the building. It takes a team of 3 to painstakingly fit every handmade panel perfectly.
We've met some fantastic people who are so passionate about what they do, and the stained glass window is the epitome of that, really.
Finally, all the panes are in.
I'm real pleased all the time that's been spent in workshop and every time everybody's put into it. It's nice to be able to get it in and it go well and it look right when you're finished.
I think it's looking absolutely fantastic. You see the colours reflecting through off the sunlight already. Really, really pleased.
I'm overwhelmed. It couldn't have turned out any better than it has. I'm just so pleased.
16 months after beginning work, the end is in sight, and it won't be long before Kimberly and Jerry's vision for this historic home is complete. It's been just over 2 years since Kimberly and Jerry bought their derelict church in West Yorkshire. Juggling business projects and their own home, along with some design alterations, means the job has gone 9 months over schedule and sent them over budget. But the extensive work has enabled them to more than double the size of this historic structure.
It's just really, really homely. It's huge, but it doesn't feel too big to live in.
Outside, they've cleaned and repointed the Yorkshire stone facade and added a new stone section to the right of the front door.
The building from the front doesn't give that much away. Yes, you can see the church, but you can't see any of this part. And then if you're walking around the back, you can't see the church at all. So it kind of holds onto its own, and it's only when you're walking around the building that you get a true idea of what's actually here.
What is here is a perfect blend of old and new. Inside, Kimberly and Jerry have created a spacious and stylish entrance hall with the rescued original window, the star of the show. The smart space connects the main body of the church to the new build.
The church is something that I really wanted to maintain its character and its style and its beauty. But we also wanted to make it into a home and also build something contemporary at the side of it.
The extension's home to the ultra-modern kitchen, dining and living areas all rolled into one and set out in an inverted L shape.
This room particularly, I knew exactly what I wanted, and this is exactly what I wanted.
Kimberly brought her vision of all black units and work surfaces to life, perfectly set off by the polished plaster wall. In the adjoining church, the up-to-the-minute theme continues in the old bones of the home, with the organ pipes now a piece of art, a reminder of the past. There's a cosy living area where the focal point is a fireplace and a high-tech cinema zone.
So in here, all the lighting, television, the music is all operated on the smart system, so you can switch everything on or off or change the lighting scene. I really like everything about this room. It's a really comfortable room. It's always really calming in here. It's really, really peaceful. It's a really nice space to be in.
And above it, the floating pod. It's home to the master suite, bedroom, dressing room and bathroom. The original beams perfectly complement the clean lines, and the huge windows allow light to flood in from all directions.
We've got the view of the church window, which was quite a big thing. We really wanted to keep that. This is one of the warmest rooms in the house. So we've got the Velux in the ceiling because I like to have the room really cold at night. So they will all open on the smart system overnight, and if it rains in the night, they'll just automatically close. At least we're not going to be roasting in here through the night.
The work has taken over their lives for almost 2 years.
The build itself has just exceeded my expectations. I'm so proud of Jez because he's worked so hard.
Really enjoyed it. It's been absolutely brilliant. I mean, I've been working from 7 o'clock in the morning till 7 and 8 at night. This is what I enjoy, doing this type of stuff, like, you know.
And you do it very well, Jerry. The finish here is immaculate. Everything's been thought of. And upstairs is just as impressive as down here. The striking oak and glass floating staircase leads to 4 double bedrooms, 2 belonging to teenage daughters Bronte and Beatrice.
So much better than what we had in the bungalow, obviously, because I had to share a room with my sister, which is not ideal because it was so small, but it's so much more spacious and I can get on with like what I need to do in that room. It's really cool and it's like everything I need's in here, so I can literally just live in here if I needed to. I have to leave for food, but otherwise I'd literally stay in here all day. It's brilliant.
If I yell from here, no one can hear me. And I'm sick of making dinner and no one turning up. So I got them to install this, and you just press dinner alert. And it mutes all the televisions in the entire house and plays in every room.
And if we don't come down straight away, it goes off again. She'll ring it about 7 times before we run down. Yeah.
But the girls are enjoying some of the clever features in their new home. Like the laundry chute that goes straight from the first floor to the utility room.
It's so much easier. It's so much easier. Instead of running down with these massive laundry baskets, then you can just walk to the end of the hall and do it. And even though it's putting things in the laundry basket, it's very exciting.
So life has changed considerably for everyone since moving out of the bungalow and into the church.
It has been a challenge from start to finish, you know, but I do feel as though it's fantastic, actually. I'm really, really pleased with how it's turned out.
And it couldn't be more different from 2 years spent sharing one bathroom.
Felt like we were a bit hemmed in at times.
It was enjoyable as well.
But yeah, we had a good time. It was a bit of an adventure. And we've moved on to the next phase and everyone's really, really happy in this house.